Hello, everyone. Happy Motivational Monday. My name is Kira, and I am your host. So, for those of you who are new here, this is Motivational Monday. This is an event that we host weekly with life guides. I usually have a lot more of an introduction, a lot more to say, and you'll get a few announcements. But for those of you who know me and have been here with me for a while, you might know I might have mentioned that I'm moving. I definitely did. And I move tomorrow. And if you could look around at my life, it is in shambles. It is so wild when you have to go through your life and process everything and have all of the memories and all of the emotions and everything come up. But I think it's so in line with fall. And that's why I played the song that we opened with. It's called Sweet Tangerine by Johnny Swim. And I shared it in the chat. For those of you who are music lovers, you can drop 111 in the chat if you're a music lover. Um, but that song gives me like this really sweet, nostalgic, like love and like ease. And I think it's really easy to be in the harder parts of our lives, even if it's something that we've wanted. Like I'm so ready to move into my new place, but this part isn't the easiest part. And I think it could be really easy for me to be like, I can't believe that I don't know, like I'm going through all of this. Not that it's too much, but like yesterday, instead of waking up and immediately packing and stressing myself out, I decided to take my mom to a yoga class and take her to brunch and go shopping. And then I packed all in the night. And I feel like this is a reminder for any of you, especially as we're starting this journey with money. It's a big upheaval. You are undoing so many things. A lot of it is deeper than just you as well. But I would say be okay with the messiness that comes with it. Like I'm so excited, even though I struggle. I'm so type A sometimes in organization, things have to be in their place, even though I struggle with everything being a hot mess right now. I'm like, I know the end result that comes from this, and it's really, really, really worth it. So, as we're going on, we're only in our second week of our financial well-being series for this quarter. And as we go on, we're asking you to do deep work, and we're doing the work alongside you. We are showing up with you. And we're also giving you like real guidance, but there is a lot of stress and struggle that comes from that. On Friday, I was on the phone with four of my mentors. Today, I'm on the phone with one. And the reason why I've had those calls scheduled specifically that way is because I know this is the most stressful week. So I'm like, cool, let me just call everyone who's going to tell me I'm doing amazing and show up for me and offer help so that I feel good and supported. So I want you to remember that because this is a journey. We all need money, baby. So without further ado, next week you'll have a more full and robust introduction from me with all of our events and everything life guides. I'm going to drop just one link in the chat for today, and this is our link tree. So everything that we're doing at Life Guides, you can find here at this link tree. So you can register for all of our financial well-being events, all of our recordings, everything. We did the deep dive last week, which the deep dive is where we dive deep. So we talked about the neuroscience of money, the mindset of money, how that plays a significant role. And then this Wednesday, we have a live mentoring session with Alvaro himself, where you guys get to come and it's an open room for 60 minutes where you get to ask any questions that you have around money mindset. So you get to have your face and your video shared. We all come, we all talk, we all do the work. And this session is for those who are really ready to do the work. It is not for everyone by any means. A lot of you may be really open to absorbing information, and that may be enough for you right now. But there are a lot of you, and you can drop 222 in the chat if you're the type of person where you're like, this time around, while I've got the time and while people are showing up and putting in the work, I want to put in the work. So if you're the type of person who wants to put in the work, there are two ways that I would suggest for you to do that. And I actually want to show you something because this might help you. This is something that I created. Today is just more of a casual day. We have a full conversation with Candice, but I want to show you a little bit of the structure of what we do with our events and the ways in which you can develop your own inner self-work and see the growth. So let me share my screen with you. This is my first time sharing this with you, but I want you to see like really the work that we're doing here. So when you guys are coming into the work that we're doing, I created all of our events to take you on a journey. This is meant to be the way you see a funnel is like you have the most people up at the top of the funnel coming to Motivational Monday. This is fun. This is easy. This is good. You have a little less people showing up to the deep dive because it's a deeper dive. It's a little bit more intense. We're talking about some deeper topics. Less people come to the deep dive mentorship because these are the people who are like, you know what? I did Motivational Monday. That was fun. I did the deep dive. That got me thinking. Now I want to do the mentorship so I can have my actual mindset questions answered. And then, even deeper than that, is the one on one calls, which are going to root and ground into your entire journey. And it's the bread and butter of what we do at Life Guides so that they can ripple positive change into your life and so that you don't have to stumble as much navigating through life. Because sometimes it's not that we don't know where we want to go. It's just that we don't know how to get there, right? So our guides get to help you get there. And without further ado, we have the beautiful, the amazing Candice here. For those of you who haven't experienced Candice before, she was here with us all throughout the spring season, and we had an amazing time talking about physical, emotional, and mental well-being. But this time, she is a devoted wife, dog mom, and purpose-driven entrepreneur here today to help us with financial well-being. After nearly 8 years as a medical coder, emotional burnout led her to take a deep leap of faith and found her own wellness enterprise. Diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder in 2015 and major depressive disorder in 2022. And I want to highlight that for a bit because sometimes we see our restrictions and we think, I can't do it. But you've got Candice here who's been restricted a lot in her life and still at the end of the day is doing so much, and you'll hear it in the rest of her bio. So, after being diagnosed in 2015 and 2022, she finally embraced intensive therapy in 2023 and now proudly advocates for healing through mindset, movement, and in this space, right here, right now, money. She's an NASM certified personal trainer, nutrition coach, and behavioral change specialist, currently pursuing roles as a clinical exercise psychologist, marriage and family therapist, and licensed clinical counselor, ultimately pursuing a PhD in clinical sports and performance psychology. This woman's amazing. Guided by faith, she's on a woman to heal the world, one beautiful soul at a time, and actively advocates for people of color to reclaim their health, restore their minds, and rise into their own power. So, Candice, welcome back to Motivational Monday. We're so happy to have you. I would love for you to just give us a little intro to you, give us your energy, but also tell us a little bit about why this money conversation is so important to you today.
My intro to money is I actually dealt with a shopping addiction. I grew up wanting for nothing. So my mom always took good care of me as a single mom. I wanted for nothing. I always had everything I wanted and needed. I was raised in a less than stellar environment in Los Angeles, but I never knew that that was a struggle. I mean, I consider LA the greatest city in the world, but I mean, to a lot of my peers from there, depending on where you're at, it's a hard life. For my mom, she never made it apparent. She was a single mom and she always exemplified what it looked like to be the strong woman. And sometimes that's a trope we shouldn't be identifying with, but at that time, that's what she needed to do. And she set a perfect example that I was too stubborn to follow. So I dealt with, and I'm still working through, shopping habits and things like that really will unpack a little bit more in this session. But that's really what shaped my fiscal identity, so to speak, and why I'm so passionate about this, especially for people who come from underserved communities, because we're not taught a lot about predatory things. We're not taught about subprime things. We're not taught the things that we're not taught. We are underserved for a reason. So this is very important to me because a story like mine, where I came up wanting for nothing, you would think I wouldn't have struggles with money, but just the opposite. And so I'm passionate about so many things. Of course, health and wellness, nutrition, because those are all areas that people like myself are underserved, but also money health is just as important. So, financial health.
Absolutely. It is a foundation of the world that we live in, and it's something that we do not talk about.
Mhm.
Drop 333 in the chat if you don't talk about money. Even now, I don't really talk about money, and I'm in a
Yeah.
fine money situation. Other than having these conversations,
Mhm.
um, I don't always talk about money. And there are certain
Yeah.
people that I know not to because I know that they don't talk to people about money. I'm like, oh, I will not talk to you about that. But it's real. So
Yeah.
when Candace and I came together for this conversation, I was like, Candace, what do you want to talk about? Because Candace is one of our guides with Life Guides. She's a guide that you can start scheduling calls with to help you on your financial well-being journey. So she's someone who, if after today's session, you're like, wow, you know what? That woman's insight and what she's been through relates so much to me, and I really feel like she's someone who could understand where I'm at now and help me get to where I want to go.
Mm.
So, with that, Candace, I know that today, the title of today's session is Spice Up Your Relationship with Money. And I know that you wanted to take a really cool, fresh perspective to it. And I think for our second Motivational Monday of financial well-being, I'm so excited for us to set this foundation. So, can you tell us a little bit more about like the foundations of what we're diving into in this conversation of spicing up our relationship with money?
Yeah, so actually I got this idea because I'm a rap savant. I love rap. Any of y'all that love rap, please put it in the chat because as we know in rap, the saying goes, I'm married to the money, right? So Jeezy is one of my favorite rappers, and he tends to say that a lot. And that's a mindset that a lot of rappers have. And I thought about, okay, how can we make a series about good relationship with money, because not all marriages are good, and some of us are still in the talking phase. Some of us are still in the getting to know you phase of money. Some of us are just like, oh, he looks good or she looks good phase of money. So we need to really flesh out the pre-dating phase where we work on ourselves, right? Like in a relationship, you want to come to the relationship not perfect but complete. And I think that's the way you want to approach money. Is you're never going to be perfect. There's no such thing. You're always, and you should always want to be a lifelong learner and growing. But I do think that it's important to know Siri, and so I want to make sure that she want to be part of it too. I think it's important to make sure you cultivate a relationship with yourself, just like in a relationship with a person. So I think that we should understand where we're at first when it comes to dating money and having a good relationship with money, just like any other relationship, including that with yourself.
So, today we're going to be teaching you how to really spice up your relationship with money. We'll learn about how to literally set dates for yourself, like go on a romantic date with your money, set that stage, start building a better relationship. Because, as we talked last week, that stress, whether it's $2,000 of debt or $2 million of debt, it's causing the exact same stress inside of you. So, you might as well make it fun. And that's what Candace always brings to the table. So, without further ado, I know before we even dive into the numbers, Candace, can you tell us more about how this mindset really plays into our relationship with money?
Yeah, so in becoming a change specialist a while back and studying psychology to become a doctor of performance and sports psychology, there's something called a thought, feeling, behavior cycle. And it's more like a triangle. If those of you who know, like it actually is a triangle. And really, what we need to understand is the way that we think shapes how we feel, and how we feel shapes what we do. So, the way you think about anything shapes your internal feelings and sentiments about it, and then that will dictate how you actually act on it. And money works the exact same way. What you believe about money dictates and sets the tone for every single decision that you make. And so what I wanted to kind of start with is that this series has to start with mindset, because before you can commit to your money goals, just like you can commit to another entity or individual or thing, you have to understand how you think about that person, place, or thing first. And in this case, it's money. So we really need to understand and cultivate a healthier mindset that doesn't happen overnight. So I want to be clear about that. You may or may not come away with an instant change in the psychology realm and in the fitness and wellness realm. There's also a theorem of a continuum of change. And a lot of us start between pre contemplation and contemplation. The third step is action, but pre contemplation is like where it's just a little spark, like it's just a little ember. It's not a full blown flame that even gets you to want to do something about it, right? Like Kira, you asked earlier, like how many of us want to get started. Some of us may come away with like, heck yeah, I'm ready to get started, but still not take action. But your mindset dictates how you'll move about that pre contemplative and contemplative stage to get to the action later.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is the mindset leads to the way that we even form a thought about it. And then that little seed of a thought, if it started with a negative mindset, once we're contemplating about it, it's going to become bigger with negative. And then when we're actually taking action, it's going to become bigger with negative. But same thing with positive. If we have a positive mindset, that seed is positive, the little sprout is positive, and then the whole plant gets positive. So
Absolutely.
we're planting the seed of positivity to set the stage for everything else.
Absolutely, because whatever you water grows. So we need to have a seed of positivity when it comes to your financial wellness rather than a seed of negativity, because whichever way you go, that's going to grow and then it may become a weed or a beautiful flower. And we want obviously the latter.
Absolutely. And you did mention doing the self-worth before, but the self-work before you start dating money. And it's so funny. And then getting clear also about like, what do you believe about money? Because you could do the same thing for relationships. And I love that we're having this conversation after
Yeah.
doing relationships last quarter because you could I hope, please drop 444 in the chat if you have non-negotiables in relationships. I didn't always. There was a time where I would not have been able to put 444. That's why I say I hope. But for real, we should have standards in relationships. I love with being people who are super fit and love being outdoorsy because I love hiking with my dogs and going camping. Someone who plays video games all day, I don't have a judgment for that. Personally, you can do whatever you want with your life, but that'll never work for me. So you need to have the same boundaries and the same expectations with money as well. So when we're talking about doing that self work and before we're dating our money, how do we start kind of like the same way where we're like, oh, this is what I want in a partner and this is what would make me feel good. How do we start doing similar things with our money
Mm.
and even our self work before we start dating our money?
Yeah. So it's having an awareness without judgment. And if any of you all have meditated, one of the core understandings of meditation is it's not to completely clear your mind. Like, if you think that that's what meditation is going to do for you or that it should happen, that's a misspeak in terms of the intent of meditation. The point is to be able to focus and be aware and then gently shift to something that's less maladaptive or less dysfunctional, right? So, understanding your habits and beliefs with neutrality, not judging yourself because you don't want to start off on the wrong foot by being negative. That's a negative mindset already to judge yourself. Those came from somewhere, that's not your fault. And then asking yourself rather than telling yourself, what did I learn about money growing up? So instead of saying, dang, why did I learn this about money? And guilting yourself and shaming yourself off rip, don't do that. Just ask yourself because gentle questions can get you gentle answers and then gentle
Mhm.
responses and then gentle actions, right? And so you want to identify though any fear or guilt or stress triggers that might have been rooted in your childhood or a bad relationship, anything that may have, potentially caused you to have a less than stellar or disadvantageous relationship with money, you want to identify them, write them down. You want to ensure that you are aware of them, but again, not judging yourself. And you want to have the mindset of constantly inquiring. You know how you get to know someone and even before you get to know them, you ask yourself, what is it about this person that I would or wouldn't like? It's ensuring that you're not judging this person, but you're asking, like, am I in a healthy place to attract that kind of individual, or in this case, financial peace that I want? Because you can't build a healthy relationship with money and carry unhealthy beliefs about anything from your past. So just like baggage, like anybody know the song by Erica Badu, Bag Lady? We don't want to go in there with any bags, okay? Maybe designer bags, but we don't want to go in there with bags that have a bunch of luggage that's not going to help you in the long run in your relationship with money.
It's making me think that one of the most important questions that we can ask, and this is through all layers, is such a gentle, easy, one word, three letters. Why? So whether or not you're shopping and you're like, oh, I want to buy that $400 purse, but you also know that you struggle to pay one of your bills regularly, that's $100. Instead of being like, oh, I'm just gonna do it because we get impulsive. A lot of us are emotional spenders. Drop 555 in the chat if you're like, I will rebel. I will rebel again. I would rebel against my mortgage in the past. And I would go out to the fancy dinner. And I'm like, wow, I really had my priorities not in check. So asking yourself why you're doing that, right? Just why. And you don't have to get an answer right now. But if you start asking why to yourself internally enough times, you'll start getting answers that pop up. And maybe it'll be in dreams. I was looking for these pair of boots and moving. I moved tomorrow. I'm like, where are they? And I've been asking myself, just like, where? For 5 days. I wake up this morning and I had a dream that told me exactly where they were. I'm like, cool. Questions get answers. in certain ways. And drop 777 in the chat if you've had your questions be answered by dreams as well. Because this is energy work. Money is energy and it is very physical and it's very real. But questions always get answers. So I want you to remember that on this journey. Start being inquisitive. Like, why am I that way? God, I've judged myself my whole entire life. Why am I this way? Why have I done it this way? So we do a Q&A that's coming up in a moment. Drop your questions in the chat because Candice and I will answer your questions if there are some, but we'll just go through if there aren't. Some of you may be super invested right here and you're like, no, tell me what you have to say. I have no questions, and that is perfectly fine. So when we're getting into the talking or courting phase, what does it mean to start courting our finances? So I know that we skipped the noticing phase of noticing things, but I think we have limited time, Motivational Monday. I really want to talk about the courting phase and then exclusivity with money. So let's start with courting. What does that mean to court our finances?
Being curious without shame, like, I think it's just knowing, like, shamelessly, like, dang, they look good, or dang, they're magnetizing. And then those questions, remember, like, normally I wouldn't give this person or this mindset or this shift or this paradigm the time of day, but they interest me. And don't be ashamed of it. If there's an unconventional way that you think you may benefit from changing your mindset around money, try it, right? It's better to try something. You miss 1,000% of the shots you don't take, right? So I think being curious about a better way to handle your finances is better than doing nothing, right? Progress over perfection. And then that mindset is saying, like, aloud, saying it affirmatively, like, I want to know you better. Self that wants to get better with money, like, who is that version of me, or what is that mindset that I want to embrace? And it's like checking your account, tracking just one category, each month. So I want to track, do I am I a foodie? Because right here, that's me. So I would have to check, because my man loves to take me out to eat. And that's why I be in the gym, because I know that it's very tempting for me to, overindulge. And for me, again, it was shopping. And so tracking one category and seeing where your money actually goes. Because how many of y'all at the end of every month are like, where did my money go? And I think being okay with knowing that you are still just in the getting to know you stage of money, but you're learning your patterns without judgment. So just like in a relationship, you're getting to know this person, and they might have quirks, they might have things that are different, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. You're not judging this person, you're getting to know them, just like you're getting to know yourself with money, getting to know these new habits that you want to build.
It's reminding me of when I worked with my guide. When I first started working with life guides, I also got a guide. I was $30,000 in debt. 20 of that was a car note, 10 was credit card. Now it's 14 months later and I have no debt. I'm finally moving out of my mom's house like a grown adult. I turned 30 in November. Um, right? And most of you didn't know I was living with my mom during this time because there's shame around all this money stuff. I didn't tell you, right? And you didn't have to know, but it's real, right? 50% of people making six figures or more are living paycheck to paycheck. And I say all of these things to normalize the fact that we do go through some stuff. But my guide knew everything that was in my bank account. That was the agreement that we had. I was like, I need you to know everything that I'm doing so that you can tell me what to do better. And one day she looked at me, she's like, so where'd that $1,000 go that you had last week? I was like, I don't know. And I looked through my bank statement and I'm like, I don't know. I didn't have any big purchases. And I was only looking for things over $100. And I realized in my mind that you only have to spend $50 20 times to spend $1,000. That is so easy, whether it's the shirt or the beverages or the going out instead of cooking something that I know that I have at home. $50 20 times is $1,000. And I know that you guys know that you can spend $50 so quickly. A lot of the times it's in your micro movements and same things in your relationships. The things that upset me and hurt me the most in relationships are the micro moments where you're not being kind to me. Like, cool, you can take me on an extravagant vacation. Your big moments don't really show me who you are. Your character shows me in your little moments. So when
Mhm.
we're talking about exclusively dating our money, Candace, what does that look like to start to get into that stage, moving from curiosity to start moving into, oh, I kind of want to commit in some way here.
Mhm. Okay, because we about to be singing "Meet Me at the Altar," but we gotta wait. Okay, jagged edge ain't coming in yet. So the way that you do this is looking at consistency, and consistency builds trust, right? If you want to be exclusive in a relationship, you have to be consistent. Anything, a relationship with yourself, you have to be consistent. With money, you have to be consistent. You start showing up regularly, you start paying bills on time, meaning you have to create micro movements, micro systems, micro actions. And that looks like setting alarms, setting reminders, writing it down on a calendar and not forgetting, budgeting weekly. And budgeting is subjective, so I want to make that clear. Not everyone. I do have a member on Life Guides who budgeting doesn't work for her in the conventional way, so we do things a little differently. And saving something, I always talk about starting small. If it's $5, just like $50 20 days adds up, $50 20 days adds up, right? Don't be ashamed of how much or how little you save based on other people. It is became ensuring also too that you celebrate your wins. This is very important to me, whether I'm training someone, wellness coaching, doing a member call, whatever I'm doing, we always stop and say, how are you celebrating yourself? Did you twerk in the mirror? Did you say period to yourself? Did you flex? What did you do to make sure that you're hyping yourself up? Be your own hype man, because if you're always chasing perfection, if you're always chasing something else, you're never going to stop and smell that flower that you watered the seed of, right? Like you need to make sure that you stop and smell the roses that you planted and that you watered, right? You
So
have
good.
to, yes.
So we're closing out. We have 3 minutes left, so I'm gonna start bringing us in, but I want to give an analogy and then I want you to bring us into fully getting financially relationship ready and what that looks like. So if you plant that seed of positivity in your mindset today, in the future, you will be able to stop and smell your own roses and understand the work that you've done. The positivity matters. So close us out, Candice. Tell us what it looks like to start dreaming bigger and getting finally relationship ready with our finances.
I think that it's being gentle with the questions that you ask yourself first. Like, where am I? What am I still avoiding? What am I curious about? What am I willing to be consistent in? Or am I ready to commit? What stage of change am I really in? Right.
Mm.
And then where am I really ready to show up before the new year? Because I can't stand resolutions. A lot of trainers and people in this space, well, yeah, January 1st. No, where am I willing to start now? Like Kira asked earlier, like, are you really ready to start now? Because don't let January 1st is another day, right? So tell yourself, what am I willing to start now? What can I not afford to start later? What am I willing to start now? And what will I not compromise on? Because whatever you choose not to sacrifice becomes your sacrifice later. So you have to be sure that you're willing to sacrifice something now. I truly think that you guys should invest in resources like letter writing. I really believe in writing letters to ourselves that we want to be. You can journal like one liners about your progress. And then there's a couple of books like The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And then for those of us that want a little cultural shift in that, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. It's not just for those of us that are African American. It's just a cultural way to think about money that a lot of us are disadvantaged in. And then You Are a Bad ASS at Making Money by Jen Sincero. She keeps it real and she really talks about mindset. So those are really good tools. And write letters to yourself. I think that's also important too.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for being here today. This
Thank you
was such
guys
an
so
exciting
much.
conversation because money is just big and heavy for a lot of us. And to just make it easy, like for real, Candace and I talk about getting your little beverage and your cutie little wine glass. And that's when you open up your banking app and you see what's in your bank account. So start dating yourself with money.
Yeah,
Start making a little bit fun. If you save $5 today, maybe you can have a piece of chocolate tonight. Little things, right?
period.
It all
Yes.
matters. So I did drop a podcast in the chat for you, one of the best financial well-being podcasts I've ever listened to. It is with Mel Robbins and Morgan Housel, the author of The Psychology of Money, which is an incredible book that'll change the foundation of everything. So I am
Yes.
also dropping Candace's link in the chat. She is one of our very own life guides. You can schedule a call with her directly if you'd like to go deeper and start understanding these stages and where you're at and where you can go. Candace is perfect for you. And then the last thing I'm sending is our link for our live mentorship session on Wednesday. this upcoming Wednesday. If you're in the place where you're like, I really want to start doing some work towards this, show up, and it's where you can ask your real live questions. You can bring everything to the table. It's an open Q&A, and we may even end Q&As on Motivational Monday and just have the Q&A there so that you guys can really come and bring everything to the table. So let me get you that final link. There's also a survey that pops up at the end of this. So please fill that out. Leave your feedback. If there are any love letters that you have for Candice, you can leave them there and I will take care of that as well. The book is in the chat. It's called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Okay, we are officially 1 minute over the end of our time. So it has been a pleasure and a joy. Candice, thank you so much for being here
Thank
and
you,
for
guys.
all of your wisdom.
Of course, anytime. Thank you guys so much.
Bye, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. See you on Wednesday.
Bye.